Hello and good day. My name is Dandan, and would you like some crumpets with your tea?
Bagay sa'yo. It's so sinister with the cat.
Would you like?
The only tea I like is the hot tea about other people. My name is Angie, and this is Godless Anissa.
The meatiest Filipino atheist. Sorry, let me do that again. The meatiest Filipino atheist podcast.
If it's your first time here, Godless Organisa is a podcast about skepticism and critical thinking, humanism, and freedom from religion.
Yes, it's this. It's a safe place where topics commonly perceived as taboo. That's a different persona are brought to the table for discussion, served with logic, reason, and facts. It's a different persona, although
You know who you reminded me of?
what?
I don't know why. Jack the Ripper.
Oh, wait, I can.
Very
The
quickly.
aura.
Did you
Oh,
yes, did you ever watch Grimm?
yeah.
Do you remember when the captain was possessed by the spirit of Jack the Ripper?
Okay, it's just like that.
Bahala kayo dyan. Hanapin nyo yan. Basta, I'm just saying, it's giving that. Oh, so, we're back to recording.
Yes, and if you can't tell, our last recording was 2 months ago.
But how would they know? Because we have been consistent in the upload.
Yes. And I'm loving everyone who welcomed us back
Oh,
from our
yeah.
long hiatus. I love it. I love it.
The love, I feel the love. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm,
I'm so
mm-hmm.
happy.
Especially, yeah, especially to Flip and Siegfried. Thank you for being
Yay!
our heavenly bodies, and
Yes.
to everyone who has joined our Patreon. There's no one yet, but you will have exclusive access to this recording in its fullness, all the calats and all the blunders, the bloopers. So the things that you do not see in the final recording that we upload in Spotify and in YouTube, you will see it there. It's our special way to thank our supporters. So
Yeah,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
because sometimes we do talk about other things that might be interesting, diba?
Mm-hmm. Like our friends and other people.
When we spill tea about other people.
Mhm. Oh yes. Wait, I'm sorry, I forgot. There's somebody sleeping right now. She's sleeping on the job,
Uh-huh.
so we might
No,
want to.
no. To be fair, she was ready before we were. It's our fault.
Actually, onto our topic for today's episode. And
This
speaking of
was
adventure, by the way,
why. Well,
what?
yeah, exploration.
Mm, yeah.
Be-
Oh, okay.
You know, this was something that I actually had on my mind for a really long time
Mm-hmm.
because it's such. I mean, we all know he was such a jerk, but like the extent of the jerkiness,
Yeah.
it needs to be discussed. Diba?
Mhm. And we did talk about this from our last episode, and we also briefly talked about this in one of our older episodes. I think that
The
was the Doctrine of Discovery. Yeah.
Yes, the doctrine of
Hmm.
discovery, and we mentioned it. We touched on it last time
Hmm.
as well. Um, but it's such a nasty chest of unhappiness that we have to
Oh, I
open and
know.
unload. So, of all the
It's part of our
historical
history.
bastards, of all the historical bastards that we could talk about, we have chosen today.
Mr. Christopher Columbus, the bastard,
Okay,
the
the
chief
bastard,
bastard.
the bastard,
Okay.
diba? But first, let's talk about the man
Hmm.
before the bastardness. Okay.
Christopher Columbus was an Italian born in Republic of Genoa. Okay.
It's very
Which
close to
is
Paris.
now part of Italy, of course, at Genoa. Uh, I think interesting ang history ng Italy. They might have had like separate republics within the Italy, but
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. While theories have emerged suggesting alternative origins, the consensus among historians is that he was Genoese. Am I reading that right? Genoese?
I'm assuming
Mm,
that's how I read it in my
no.
mind.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Genoese. Okay. And he's also known in Italian as Cristoforo Colombo. Pop.
Yeah, I kind of like that better, actually.
Mm-hmm. But I like his other name better. This one, we'll talk about that later.
Mhm.
Next. He's born in Genoa in 1451 to Domenico Colombo and Susana Fontana Rosa. I love that name. Susana Fontana
Fontana.
Rosa. Mm.
It's very like 90s bomba star.
I actually, yes, yes, yes. And one of those Mexican telenovela.
Mm-mm,
Telenovela.
mm-mm.
So in Spanish pala, Christopher Columbus is only the English version of the name Cristobal Colon.
I love that.
Hmm.
So that's it's giving drug lord
Mm-hmm.
like
Eh, drug lord na bigla na lang mamamaril, ganon.
uh
I love that.
yeah. Mm-mm.
Okay. And he married a noble woman from Portugal, Filipa Moniz Pereste, Perestrelo, who bore a son, Diego, and was based in Lisbon for several years. He later took a Castilian mistress. Castilian, okay. Beatriz Enriquez de Arana, who bore a son, Ferdinand. Ito, balik na naman tayo sa mga gantong pangalan. Ferdinand.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you know that's not going to end well for those two boys. But anyway,
Mhm.
now let's conquer this together. Pun intended. Let's talk about him as an explorer.
Ooh.
Okay. Actually, more on his career before we get into the nitty gritty of it. So he began
Okay.
his career as a young merchant sailor, and he was traveling across Europe and the Mediterranean. Now, he gained
Mm.
a lot of experience, okay, seafaring experience, and that included navigating the Atlantic and working um, in the Portuguese merchant marines. And this is where he learned about the wind systems and how to make charts. Makes sense.
Mhm, mhm.
Right, okay. And then his brother also helped him because his brother was a map maker.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, one day he's on his ship and pirates
Mhm.
attack. Okay, so pirates
Ooh.
attack. Now we got the pirates. I love a good pirate.
Mhm,
Anyway, pirates attack and he makes his way to Lisbon in Portugal.
mhm,
And this is where he decided to continue studying and learning more about what he was doing.
mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, he also educated himself in geography, astronomy, navigation, and this is where he learned celestial navigation. So, using the stars, um,
Mm.
and using tools like the compass and astrolabe, which makes sense because at the time, even now,
Mm.
seafarers, that's what they need the stars,
Yeah. Yeah.
the cosmos align, right?
Mhm.
Now you mentioned his marriage, right? Now Philippa, okay, provided him with valuable charts and connections. So he's got the hookup because of the wife, the legal wife.
Oh, okay.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm,
wait. Legal wife? You mean?
mm-mm. Diba?
This bastard. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So he wanted to find a westward sea route to Asia. And he
Mm.
was like, as we all know, he did spend years trying to find someone to fund this, right?
Okay.
Because it was going to be a long voyage. It's a new voyage. He don't got the funds. Basically, he's got the
Mm.
maps. He's got the guts. He just doesn't have the funds. Now, first he goes to the king of Portugal, King John, and he's like, no,
Uh-huh.
wrong answer. Don't wanna. Okay, so King of Portugal says
Wala,
no.
hindi pinindot yung button, I choose.
Diba? No.
Mm.
And then he did go to other sponsors, not really sure how big they were, but they
Mm.
all said, no, we don't really,
Yeah.
pass.
Mm. It's a
But
no for
then
me.
it's a no.
It's definitely a no for me, though.
But then, as we all know, as the story goes, remember the doctrine of discovery. Who funds it? Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand of Spain in 1492.
Mhm. The parents
Now,
of Joanna.
yes, let's take a second just to let that sink in. Okay, now this happened shortly after they conquered Granada.
Ah,
I don't
kaya,
know.
okay, okay, okay. Mhm.
I'm not sure if it was like, yes, we want to discover more, or if it was we want to conquer more. Like, I'm just gonna put it out there. Just make of it what you shall.
Discover. Discover
Discover.
in quotation. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Sure, Jan.
Now that he had the backing of the Spanish monarchs, okay, they
Mhm.
promised him titles. They promised him a share of the profits. Like, let's say he conquers. I'm sorry, sorry, not conquer.
Discover.
Discovers whatever was made or profited.
Mhm.
They were promising him a cut, basically, which
Mhm.
technically makes sense. Yeah, because he's
Yeah.
doing all the
Oh,
hard work
so.
here. So he leaves on the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Okay.
Mhm.
Now the voyage was what led him to what we know as him landing in America. In the
Mhm.
Americas. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
The Americas. Okay, in
Mhm.
October of 1492. But then our buddy, with all his constellations and the cosmos and the maps on his side, he thought he was going towards the East Indies.
Yeah.
Medyo malayo, sir.
Mhm.
Medyo malayo. But it still marked one of the biggest discoveries in his career.
Mhm.
I
Uh,
mean,
to be fair, I believe it was this around this time that they didn't know America exists.
yeah,
So I think it was only the Northerners, the Vikings, who knew about the existence of America
because they
at
were
this
there
time. Or
first.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, I think, and somebody else actually, somebody else, actually Chinese were the first ones or the first foreigners in America. If I can remember it correctly, yeah. But they weren't the first ones there. Somebody else were there.
I'm telling you, it's just anyway. That's a whole different Pandora's box of like
Okay.
a
So,
whole
di,
whole
so
can of
doon pa
worms.
lang medyo medyo umuusli-usli na yung mga yung mga
Yeah,
bastardy,
yeah, yeah.
bastardness ni Kuya.
Bastardness.
So, now we move on to his involvement to slavery. Okay.
We cannot
Now,
avoid it.
now his involvement to slavery of indigenous people in the Americas is a apparently a practice that he and his men implemented and paved the way, as they say, for the broader transatlantic slave trade. So, doon nag-start. Okay. Now, first, about his involvement, it started with kidnappings. So, in his first voyage, he kidnapped between 10 to 25 Native Americans. Ang I hate this part. Uh, in his journey back to Spain, only 8 survived. Oh my God.
Yep.
Ang sakit sa... Okay. Now, after taking them to Spain, he implemented forced labor where after uh, the colony of Hispaniola was established, his men, under his authority, ang sakit ng siyak ako, brutalized, raped, and enslaved the native populations, forcing them into labor. Ang gago, no?
Well, remember, this was the time when they said, as long as you're doing it in the name of, yeah, yeah, religion. There, we're gonna just say it. If you're gonna do it in the name of religion to bend
Mhm.
people,
Uh, Now, sometimes they are taken as prisoners of war, huh? Or when he perceived violations of natural law, such as cannibalism, as reasons, Spain allowed this enslavement. Oh.
yeah. Now,
And I've realized that this is not parang inferred cannibalism lang naman yung nangyayari.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
hmm,
Actually,
ah,
I would think that a lot of the practices of the Native Americans were probably very obviously it's foreign to them. It looks
mm,
absurd to them. It looks strange. It looks barbaric. Whatever they used to call it. But technically, Native Americans are very spiritual people. So
mm,
I have a feeling they just made it sound or they found like the littlest. It's basically as a different type of witch hunt
ah,
just to be able to justify doing what they did.
mm. And uh, I'm not sure. And one of my suspects of why they think these people practice cannibalism is one maybe because of witchcraft or or um yung
Shamanism.
mga yung shamanism nila. But a part of it is I'm thinking is the how they treat the dead. Kasi
Yeah,
mm, parang I feel like what how why they do it is they pass on their ancestors or the people who died back to them, so they're still part of them. I am
yeah,
not really sure just yet. I'll read on more about that. But apparently this is how the Spanish or the Spaniards um, justified
yeah,
slavery. Okay. Now, his voyages and subsequent actions opened the way for European colonization and exploitation, establishing the trade routes and precedents that would facilitate the massive slave trade between Europe, Africa, and the Americas.
yeah. So technically, he's not really the starter of it, but he made
Mm-mm.
it possible to make it worse, like or to yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. Ham is just so cute.
I know, super.
Okay. Some cute cuteness break out of the
Uh,
upsetting storyline.
Now we're gonna divide and conquer this next part because
Okay.
we're about to take a really deep dive into some very disturbing shit. Okay, so let's talk about Christopher Columbus and the indigenous communities, both in the past and
Mhm.
how it has still carried on today.
Okay.
Because people like to say, oh, it's in the past, it's in the past. Why are we talking about things? No. Everything that happened in the past, in any history, in any culture, in any country, we still feel it today, whether we realize it or not, big time,
Mhm.
small time, like there is an effect. So we're gonna dive. Let's just deep dive into this disturbing shit real quick because
Mhm.
history is not comfortable. It is not always sweet. but we got to face
Yeah.
it. So
Mm.
he has long been considered a very contentious figure in US history,
Mm.
okay? Because of his treatment of the indigenous communities that he encountered throughout
Mm.
all of his explorations, okay? Um, and because his role was very violent. For lack of
Mm.
a better word, he was violent,
Yeah.
period.
Oh.
Yeah. Especially in colonization. And then when he has the backing of the doctrine of discovery and the backing
Was
of the king and queen who are trying to beat out all the other kings and queens,
yeah.
basically these indigenous communities become pawns and they're
Mm.
disposable. Like they're just collateral damage, basically. So during his voyages through the Caribbean islands and the Central and South American coasts,
Mm.
Columbus came upon indigenous people and he labeled them Indians.
Bobo no.
Well, let's think about it. He thought he was in the West Indies.
mm.
I can't.
Really?
A lot of good those maps did, huh? Anyway, so while he was the governor of what is now the Dominican Republic,
Mm.
Columbus killed many natives in response to their revolt, which is actually nothing new. This happens like where did it happen? Haiti
Ah. Yeah.
and what's that other place?
Tobago. Tobago. Trinidad and
Yeah,
Tobago.
yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah. Like
Mm.
wherever there's a revolt,
Mm.
kill 'em. That's it.
Yeah.
So true to the form of history, that's what he did. Okay,
Mm.
so and then in order to prevent further rebellion, like further threats of rebellion, he would have their remains paraded through the streets.
What the fuck?
Yeah, we keep talking about Vlad the Impaler, but this guy is no better. Okay?
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah. Now, in the beginning, the initial interactions were somewhat peaceful. You know, you're trying to play nice.
Mm.
But then like he switched it up. He suddenly started looking at them as if their potential was mostly as laborers and their usefulness to the European economy. It kind of makes sense because everybody's like prissy in Europe
Oh.
at the time, whereas the Native Americans are living off the land. They're learning how to survive. I mean, for them
Mm.
it's a normal Tuesday morning, but for him it's like, yeah, because we're uppity over here in Europe, so we can use you for labor to do our shit. That, yeah. So because of that, that led to more exploitation and abuse. Now there are lots of cities like and places like states in the United States like Minnesota, Alaska, Vermont, and Oregon, and they have started to replace Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day.
Good
They're
job. Good
they're
job.
taking it back. They're taking it back. They're like, no, no, we're not going to honor
Mm.
you. Which is,
Mm.
we might want to start doing that more.
Mm.
There are a lot of, but I digress. Diba? um, Now, in response to the nationwide protests and conversations, that's it's been coming up a lot lately about the racial inequality and people how the people of the past were treated. These communities, these tribes, these you know, a lot of people are taking down his statues, and if there are names on streets, are changing them. Like it's hard to, I guess, change his because it's been hundreds of years, but
Mm.
it's going to be slow. But they're doing it. They're taking
Yeah.
it back. So yeah. So you get
I
to go
like that
on the.
there's acknowledgement na na from them na we are, although we are here na and we can take back history,
Yeah.
but the best thing that we can do is no longer
Hmm.
the honor the people who did these
The
things.
abusers.
Mm,
Don't honor the abusers. Don't give them a. Not only that, it's like I said, it's going to take a very long time to reverse the narrative, but it is
yeah,
saying we are no longer going to swallow the narrative because we know now.
yeah,
We have records and we have proof that this is not it. And this is what we're saying. If you have the proof, you have the resources, you cannot deny the truth.
yeah,
All you can do now is okay, well we can't change it, but we can change the narrative. We can do something about it. Let's take a hint.
oh well. So one of the actions that they and the consequences that because of what is happening include of what Columbus did is, yeah, like we've mentioned, enslavement and forced labors. So his men forced indigenous people into slavery to mine gold, huh? And work in plantations. And um, during his journeys, one of his journalists noted that his intention to subjugate them and make them do what is required of them. So yun yung okay. And he sent thousands of Taino people to Spain for enslavement. So the first one lang, can you imagine if the first trip was like he took 25 people and only 8 survived? How much
Mhm.
more for thousands?
Yeah, and this the slave trade works both ways. Slaves being brought to the Americas, and the
Mm.
slaves from the Americas being brought to Europe.
Mm.
Imagine how many millions of, like, I am sure it's upon millions by now if
Mm.
we think about it. There were no great record keeping skills back then. Uh,
Oh.
yeah, to subjugate. Again, that was under the doctrine of discovery. Na inokay naman ni Pope. Oh, jeez.
Uh,
Mm-mm. So yeah,
oh.
you want to do the next one or shall I? Do you need a breather?
Okay, sige. I'll do the next one.
Yeah,
This one. Uh, Violence and brutality. So, kasi interconnected din siya.
yeah.
So, conflicts arose between the Spanish and local tribes, leading to violence and warfare. Historical accounts and his own writings indicate a willingness to use force to subdue the native populations, resulting in a pattern of European retaliation that contributed to the conquest of Hispaniola. Okay. Under his governance, the indigenous populations faced extreme violence, including torture, murder, and the mutilation of people who did not meet demands for gold or disobeyed orders. The Dominican missionary Bartolome de las Casas, a contemporary who knew Columbus, documented many of these abuses in detail.
And you know what's kind of ironic? It was their gold that they were mining.
Yeah, kaya nga.
It was their land.
Oh.
Diba? It's their land. It's their gold. It's their resources. So you're forced to dig your own land for your
Own
own
land. Mhm.
resources to give to other people who are going to beat you to death anyway. If you don't dig fast enough on your own land for your own resources. I cannot. I cannot.
Mm.
Now, aside from the obvious, there is disease. Oh, yes, sir,
Mm.
disease. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Europeans brought diseases like smallpox, measles, and typhus to the Americas.
Lovely.
Can we
Lovely.
just take a
Sorry.
moment? Can we just take a moment? Like, you already take everything from us, and the only shit you give back to us is disease. Thank you.
Kaya.
Diba? Diba? Thank you so much. So the indigenous populations, they're not immune to it. They have no immunity. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
there you go.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
don't. That does not take a genius to figure out what's going to happen next. So this
Mm.
led to a death rate which some estimate to have reached up to 90 to 95% of the indigenous population in the Americas dying as a
Mm.
result of disease.
Gra-
That's almost 100%. And then
Grabe.
you beat the other 5% to death.
Mm.
It's I'm having a migraine. So, the okay, compared to the other people um, who died in war, forced labor, and disease, you put it all together. I think it's kind of a miracle that those civilizations still had some
Mm.
left over.
Some.
So, I mean, let's call it what it is. That was almost extermination all the way out,
Yeah.
whether it was
Oh.
meant or not. So yeah. And then of course, land confiscation. Bleh. Basically stealing land and
Yeah.
colonization. So his voyages initiated an era of European colonization.
Mm.
You bastard. You bastard. So this really did involve a lot of violent confiscation of land, um,
Mm-hmm.
of indigenous lands, because nobody was going to give up their land peacefully and like, oh yeah, sure, take it. Of course not. They fought for it,
Mm.
and it ended badly. Um, and the establishment of settlements that drove many native peoples from their homes. So even if you're not captured, you have nowhere to go. You're not. Where are you going to stay?
Oh.
So they have to flee.
Mm.
They have to leave their land, leave their homes. Okay, now,
Oo naman. Hmm. Okay, so another effect of this bastard is that he fostered cultural destruction and imposition. So they imported ideas of racial and cultural superiority. Ito na nga, ignoring the sophisticated existing indigenous cultures. Ito na yung bastardization ng mga beliefs nila,
yeah,
like
yeah,
their shamanism and their like spiritual things are considered evil or from
uh-huh.
the devil. Yeah, they sought to impose
Savage.
their own. Mhm, yeah, they also sought to impose their own language, culture, and Christianity. Lovely. Often giving the indigenous people a choice between conversion or war. So imagine, di ba, parang something similar happened actually, no? And Yawa became the devil here.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, look at Ham is like, oh my God, pisting yawa, diba?
Mm.
That's what I tell people when they're like, ay yawa, and I'm like, that's actually for me that's an insult to her because
Mm.
she, why do you take the beliefs of a culture of a civilization that wasn't bothering you in the first place and you had to destroy it
Mm.
just to implement yours. But remember, Christianity or Catholicism, the remember that was the only. I kind of understand why they had to push that because that's the only way they could justify
Yeah.
stealing.
Yeah.
That's just and killing. That's it.
And genocide,
Stealing,
we said.
genocide.
Mm.
Because apparently we haven't learned shit, and we still use religion to justify genocide.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna leave that
Mm.
there. I'm just gonna leave that there because we're still on Christopher Columbus today. But let that process, let that sink in, guys. We have not learned shit.
My
Diba?
heart. My heart, my BP.
Well, it's about to get worse. So
Okay.
I'm gonna cover the slightly sensitive, a more sensitive one.
Mm.
Okay, I know we're gonna have a disclaimer on this and a warning and everything, but buckle up, Buttercup, because it gets a little worse. Cases of SA, because no true colonization can occur without some of this.
Yeah.
A Columbus shipmate by the name of Miguel Cuneo,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, wrote. So this is his shipmate, okay? When our caravels were to leave for Spain, we gathered 1,600 male and female Indians on February 17th, 1495, and we let it be known that any of the sailors who wanted to take them could do so. Cuneo took a teenage Caribbean girl as a gift from Columbus, and when she resisted, he thrashed her mercilessly and raped her. I choked on that word. Speaking of, it was noted by the University of Vermont history professor by the name of Dr. James Lowen that as soon as the 1493 expedition got to the Caribbean, Columbus was rewarding, it's a reward, his lieutenants with native women to rape. And then on Haiti, sex slaves were one more prerequisite that they quote unquote enjoyed. This included adult and child assault. And he himself, Columbus, wrote in 1500. This bastard wrote, girls from 9 to 10 are in demand. Now
Putang ina.
imagine celebrating this man
Mm-mm.
for so long. I don't know why we celebrate abusers. I really don't. As soon as this came out, as soon as you know what, I'll even give them some grace. Maybe they didn't find all these journals right away. Maybe they didn't know that the actual story right away. But the minute they did, why weren't they destroying statues? Why were they not changing names of
Mm.
places? Why are they still president? No, I'm sorry, that was a different topic. I'm just leaving it out there.
Yeah.
We are not learning. We are not learning shit.
And no, and relating that to where we are now, maybe it's too early to talk about it. Pero
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna. This is a an unpopular opinion, but I really don't think, or I really do think that we should stop celebrating festivities that that portray how we were conquered,
Yep.
how we were colonized.
Sinulo.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you were going?
Yeah, that was parang and to this day parang you see you see it worn by beauty queens to celebrate the
Culture?
arrival Magellan, the culture. Girl, we were colonized. We were raped by these people, and you celebrate that in your gown, making it all fabulous. No, we were colonized. We were raped.
Yeah, yeah, literally and figuratively. Lahat.
Mm.
Everything. And that's what I don't understand. How people. It's part of the history. Let's just say
Mm.
there are still some. They can. I'm sure we can find some beauty. Let's just say there's some beauty, but in general, it was. It was violent. It was
Hmm.
taking over. It was destroying the actual roots and culture of the Filipino people.
Yeah. And do you think we could have accepted Christianity in uh, uh, other ways than being colonized? Kasi I really do think that it is possible naman eh. That we could have accepted Christianity like, try this religion up for
Yeah,
things. Oh, instead of yours, ganyan. Then
yeah,
maybe if
give it a
you
try.
don't like it, yeah, if you don't like it, then okay, we'll move on to the next island. Then and not having to kill people whose religion you don't like. Putang, ano ba?
Because you know why? Because it wasn't about the religion.
Yeah.
It was about the resources. It was about taking land, taking resources, taking what they could. And whoever is in the way, remember, they had to justify it. So, we're doing it for God.
Mhm.
Si Pope naman, ganun ba? Okay, sige, go. Like,
Push.
no,
Yeah.
push lang, sige. Oh, is it for
He didn't
God?
read the
Okay,
email.
diba?
He didn't read the email, parang inapprove niya lang agad. And ang ato pa, going back to 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 the festivities kasi parang every time I see it, it's always the young ones who are made to dance in the streets.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, sige. Given that some of these kids like what they're doing, like that they dance on the streets, but did they really like it, or were they were made to like it? Parang that's all they knew. That's all they see all the time
Because
growing
it's
up.
indoctrination. It's part
Mm.
of the indoctrination, just a milder, you know, thing.
Mm. Like
Um,
growing up, if growing up all your choices are A and B, then you will just choose A or B
yes,
without knowing that there are also options C, D to letter Z.
and not teaching them. Oh, but see, here's the thing: even their parents are from a generation that don't know how rich
Mm.
the original, the actual culture is.
Mm.
So even I wouldn't even. It would have to be like great grandparents, because I know my great grandfather was already an Nayani.
Mm.
So it's sad. And then when you say, but yeah, they're how rich the culture, and then they go, yeah, my culture is Santo Nino. No, it's not. That was
That's
never your
not.
culture. That was never your culture. That was your colonized culture, sure.
Mm.
Yeah. But anyway, we're not done with the bullshit that this guy did. So let's get through this 1st.
Okay. So, hunting and violence. Columbus and his men hunted natives with war dogs.
This is a difficult episode.
So, Columbus's men tore the babes from their mother's breast by their feet and dashed their heads against their rocks. They splitted their bodies of other babes together with their mothers on their swords. This is noted as per a Spanish historian and Catholic priest Bartolome de las Casas, who witnessed much of the carnage. Columbus, in order to test the sharpness of their blades, directed his men to cut off the legs of children who ran from them. His crew would pour people full of boiling soap and and cause others to be eaten alive by hunting dogs. And if Columbus's brigade ran out of meat for their vicious dogs, Arawak babies were killed for dog food. What the? Oh god!
but
Why did you
but
make me read this part?
sorry. Because, well, think of it this way. This is not the only. I know that it's really crappy, but you do realize this
Hmm.
is not the only time in history that this happened.
Yeah.
It didn't just happen. Um, it's just, are we not? And we're still not learning anything because people are still doing shit like this, and everybody's like, "Well, it's so far away. Why do we care?" because we're human beings, it's
Yeah.
not right. And if it happened to our population once, you don't know if it could happen again
Yeah.
because you refuse to turn a blind eye to history repeating itself. So we're not untouchable. We're not untouchable. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we're gonna just keep on going. I'll take over now. You take a breather.
Okay.
And Ham is just like,
Okay.
whoa, look at Ham. I was just like, oh my god. Okay, now, this was all recorded. Imagine that. There are accounts of the abuse. Now, the most interesting fact about the truth about Columbus and his sailors' crimes is that most of it was recorded by the priest, Bartolome de las
Mm-hmm.
Casas.
This guy was
So
good.
he was a Catholic priest, like you said, and a historian. And he described how he was trembling with the savagery and evil of their acts, um, of this in the so-called New World. And he said,
Mm-hmm.
and quote, in one day, De las Casas saw Columbus soldiers dismember, behead, and rape 3,000 natives in one day. As a result, De las Casas wrote, my eyes have seen these acts so foreign to human nature that now I tremble as I write. There are many, many other accounts, of course, okay, by eyewitnesses, from the shipmates, from officials, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and they all reported it back to Spain, and that's why Christopher Columbus was arrested. He was sent. He was sent back to Spain. Let's give some credit where it's due.
Mm-hmm.
Father and some other officials and shipmates were like, we're not having it. No, they report him
Mm-hmm.
to Spain, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and he did confess. He confessed, like, yeah, I did it. Yeah. So he was
Tapang
arrested.
eh. Hmm?
He went back. Well, why? Again, are there
Mm.
not people now who are getting na matapang? Yeah, I
Mm,
did
mm,
explain
mm, mm,
why.
mm.
But
Oo,
then when they get
tapos
carried back in chains, iyak, diba?
oo,
Diba?
biglang matanda na ano, na dugod na pala siya. I fucking hate that man.
You know,
Sorry.
I will get, well, I'm not even gonna comment on that, but I will give Christopher Columbus credit for one thing. He went back in
Mhm.
chains, he let himself be arrested, and he admitted to
Yeah.
his.
Mhm.
Again, we're just gonna leave that, put a pin in that, and we're gonna come back to it because we're talking about Christopher Columbus today.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Right. So going back to discovering the Americas, well, apparently he isn't, or he wasn't the first one to discover the New World. Like, di ba? Di ba? Ang bobo lang. uh, so indigenous people had been living there for centuries by the time he arrived. Like, yeah, obviously. And
Uh-huh.
in 40, nung arrival niya in 1492. Now,
Hmm.
Leif Erikson and the Vikings beat him to it 5 centuries earlier. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. So,
Uh-huh.
mhm,
I'm not gonna say that that they probably showed up with cookies and went like, "Hi guys." I'm sure there's some
mm,
nastiness there too, but we don't hear
yeah.
a lot about that.
Hmm.
I have a feeling they might have done some stuff, but not like,
Hmm. Have you seen
yeah.
Vikings?
I didn't.
Mm.
I heard it was
So,
really good
yun
though.
nga, parang, it was also portrayed that one of them sailed eastward, wait, westward, I, directions.
I know.
Yeah, westwards, yeah, yeah. So they thought that the farthest that the west could go is in like Portugal. So
Okay.
they sailed past that line, and then somebody arrived in the Americas, ganyan. It is ano, a creative portrayal, and they found like a small monastery where with ano one person who couldn't speak the same language that they spoke, ganyan ganyan, and they murdered this guy, ganyan, ganyan. So, and they went back to, to their land and then reported na, oh, we found this place, blah, 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 blah. And there's no one guarding. They don't know, they don't have weapons. There's, so we are free to conquer this place. And they, they came back with many other people, and then they killed everyone.
Yeah,
Pero
sounds about right.
this is a
Oo.
creative portrayal, pero yeah, there's no doubt that that they really did kill. Pero yeah, Columbus taking the credit as discovering the Americas really
Yeah.
didn't happen. No, it wasn't really true. Maybe he was the first one that they know of in their network.
Yeah. 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 True.
On another note, I've been reading this children's book, How to Train Your Dragon, and
Yeah.
which is so sorry, Ham, which is very much different than the movie version.
Oh my
So
god.
they're Vikings and they have dragons who can talk. So yeah,
Oh.
it's just so cute. So one hiccup who came to the Americas was hit with an arrow. Then, pero kasi he was in America and he found this potato and he put put this potato inside his armor, and that's where he was hit. And then when people thought he died, so he became the hero of the day, and then he just got up and took out the arrow, and the potato was was on the tip, ganyan ganyan. And then parang he buried the arrow that almost killed him daw, yeah, according to the story. And then came out of that soil where he buried the arrow were potatoes. Kasi apparently
Oh
sumakto yung,
wow.
yung arrow, yung arrowhead, that's part ng potato that can bloom and So that's how they
Aw.
discovered potatoes now. Sabi sa How to Train Your Dragon, which is so
That's
cute.
cute. That's a cute. That's a very nice and whimsical.
uh, Twist to it without the violence and all.
Oo, 'di ba? 'Di ba? Ayun. But then before we forget, don't forget Amerigo Vespucci.
Ah, yeah, yeah. The first European to recognize North and South America as distinct continents and to realize, unlike Columbus, that the so called New World was not part of Asia. Yeah, I forgot that part.
Sabi
Amerigo
niya,
Vespucci.
yeah, and he's like, tanga,
Ha?
anong Asia?
Talaga ba? India? Bubo! Siguro. Bubo nito? India, gago. Amerika yun. O
Anong
kaya nga
Indian
pala Amerika
sinasabi
yun.
mo?
Oo.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Kaya nga pala
Oh,
America because of America Vespucci. Yeah,
oh my God.
yeah. Can you imagine? Bubo nito. Ganyan.
Tanga lang. Ano? But because when you but it right when you know there's always a joke like oh it's the different it's the wrong kind of Indian or it's the other kind of Indian because this guy this is Columbus yes we're in the West Indies no you're not do you see Amerigo over here not sure no do you see the Vikings going no
Hmm. I brought Indians. No.
no you did not oh my god okay so we're gonna now cover actually this is what I what sparked my interest in this topic
Mm-hmm.
the Columbian hypothesis, which is actually the connection between Christopher Columbus and sexually transmitted diseases. Because
Oh.
he's just a man whore. Like he just, diba? So it's related to this theory that him and his crew brought syphilis back to Europe from the Americas in the late 15th century.
Oh.
Um, so the Columbian hypothesis um, is it says or it claims that syphilis was already present in the New World
Mm-hmm.
and the sailors contracted it and then brought it back to Europe. Now, it also states that the sailors returning from their voyages in 1493 brought the syphilis. Now, um, present day Haiti is cited as the likely source, like where they picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, older evidence states or suggests that syphilis was already in Europe before Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and more of the recent genetic and archaeological findings do support the theory that it originated in the Americas. Okay,
Mm.
and that it was introduced to Europe because of the transatlantic voyages.
Mm.
So, what they call the Columbian Exchange is the introduction of the syphilis um, as part of that Columbian Exchange.
Yeah.
And it also involved the because hey, when you say Colombian exchange, that includes transferring plants, wildlife like animals,
Mm-hmm.
even the slaves, like anything that
Yeah.
was in the transport. But they consider syphilis part of it as one. I mean, it's its own entity now. Okay, on this
Mm-hmm.
list. So that was between the old world, which is Europe, Asia, and Africa, and the new world, the Americas.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that one got me thinking: are we going to blame the Native Americans again, the indigenous people? Was it already in Europe? That's what sparked my interest actually about Christopher Columbus, and then just got
Mm.
nasty all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah. So
thinking that it could have, if without Columbus, it could have stayed in the Americas.
it,
Yeah.
it's it's like the smallpox thing,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Yeah.
Ang
Like
gagawin nila, at least nagdala sila ng ano, ng sakit sa Americas. So, the
America sends some
Americas,
shit back,
oo, gago kayo, ito.
and syphilis takes longer,
Yeah.
and it's
Mm.
more painful.
Mhm.
So, diba? Now, there is evidence that it was of American origin. So, archaeological findings show that, and there is genetic evidence that the disease originated in the Americas, actually.
Mhm.
So, there are what they call pre-Columbian skeletons, and if you know, this is going to be a fun trip for you when you look for pictures. But when someone has syphilis, it affects the bones. The
Oh.
yes,
Uh-huh.
it causes. I'm not even gonna. It's very disturbing. That's why it's so painful because it damages the
Okay.
bones. So the skeletal remains from the Americas dating back thousands of years do show signs of syphilis or related diseases that probably evolved into syphilis, but
Mhm.
basically that type of family. And it does support the theory that before Europeans came to the Americas, there was already a form of syphilis. Then there's also
Mm.
the genetic analysis, which shows that with DNA analysis,
Mhm.
it shows that the bacteria that causes syphilis has it's become strong evidence that it originated in Americas, then was brought back and then spread in Europe.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So why don't you cover the debate because people still kind of
Uh-huh.
argue. They're not
Yeah.
really.
Okay. So this is also what I'm thinking. No, there was since some scientists argue that syphilis was already in Europe before Columbus, with cases being misdiagnosed as other diseases like leprosy. Okay. Conclusive evidence say that recent genetic and archaeological evidence is increasingly strengthening the hypothesis that the specific form of syphilis that caused the epidemic in Europe was brought back from the Americas, apparently. And currently, uh, scholars say that um, that now there is a stronger scientific consensus that syphilis in Europe was a result of the Columbian exchange, according to sources like Wikipedia, CNN, and Science.
Yeah,
Hmm. Kasi they imagine ko how they are doing it. So they are observing ito yung DNA nga, yung DNA yung pattern niya. And let's say this is from this uh, strain of syphilis and another, kasi nagme-mutate nga sila throughout
yeah,
time.
yeah,
So if the older ones, if they say the strain of syphilis that they say is coming from the Americas have the same genetic imprint as with the more current ones, they can absolutely say that this is the first one. That's like
yeah,
exactly what happened with COVID and how
yeah,
they, 'di ba, the nCoV, the bird flu. 'Di ba?
yeah.
So they found out nga na dun galing and then nag-evolve nga lang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And
Mm.
before everybody started crossing over and infecting everybody with whatever they had,
Mm.
I'm not really surprised. Like the smallpox came over, and
Mm.
yeah, of course it's gonna wipe them out. They're not immune. But the Native Americans had their own form of syphilis and other diseases that they were just dealing with. They were already
Mm.
probably building up their own systems for this.
Oh.
I say it kind of serves them right.
Deserve.
Deserve, yeah. And
Mm.
then, you can't keep your dick in your pants. So,
Mm.
yeah, you get a very painful disease
Yeah.
that, affects your bones. Like, I saw one where, oh my God, it was so bad. Like, it looks like there's like spikes of the bone.
Oh, can you see?
Just
Teka, teka, teka. Skeleton. God. Of uh,
syphilis.
the. Hmm. Oh God.
Hmm.
Oh
I
God.
smiled because I hope it was very painful for them.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
then I don't like that they infected other people. That's the messed
Hmm.
up part. I don't like they brought it back to Europe and other people, and you know it sucks. But there you go.
Hmm.
So
Deserve.
thoughts?
Um, I think somewhere in here, I like that when De Las Casas priest reported it to the authorities, they immediately tried Columbus, and
Hmm.
at least I think it was just recently that Spain denounced what they did, the things that they did, and sadly, parang tayo parang we're still a few steps or a few decades behind, that we are still honoring that part of our history when it should have been taken as how people are taking Columbus's journey or this discovery.
Because I think people have that. We talked about this, like where they don't want to embrace the nativeness. Like they want
Mm,
to, they fall into the I should be whiter, I should be, more
mm,
European or whatever. It's very elitista. It's giving elitist.
mm.
But they don't realize it's so much better to have your own rich culture. Like you should know your own
Oh,
culture because nobody else has it. So,
we could
well, I
have
mean,
developed our own like education system. We could like, 'di ba? Before religion came, the Arabs are and the Indians or the Hindus are already into mathematics, and we could have developed our own sciences. And we could have had that on our own. We had our ang problema kasi ang naging problem sa culture natin is we didn't write in stones. we wrote in leaves in paper. Oh well, we I'm not sure if we had paper, but we wrote in leaves. That's why when the walang surviving artifacts ng history natin back then. If we had we only developed that, so tsaka ano tayo kasi, center kasi tayo ng trade. So
Yeah.
everything we have is a mixture of everyone we were trading with, like the
And
Southeast
that's
Asians.
great, but no, that's fine
Mm.
as long as nobody's trying to colonize you.
Yeah.
You can honestly say I'm a mix of all this because of the rich trade.
Mm.
Because we exchanged goods and we exchanged cultures, and now we're a melting pot, yada, yada, yada. But when you colonize in the name of a religion, but then your religion harms the people that you're trying to colonize, I don't see how those that are colonized can still look at it as a favor or a blessing.
Mm.
I know
No.
we're gonna get shit for that. I know I'm gonna. Oh my god, the Sonya's gonna be like, my Lola's up there with a plate, getting ready to go back again on
Mm.
my head. But it's true. Like, how can you? I'm not saying you don't embrace also that part. It's still there. I mean, there's still something there, but don't give. Parang bigay todo mga tao eh. They don't realize.
Mm.
And this is what my explanation was when I was talking to my church tita, my church tita, and to my
Mm.
mom. And my mom actually
Mm.
got my point for like a split second. She was like, "Oh no, no," and then she snapped out of it. But I was like, "How can you feel good about a religion that tried to oppress your own native priests?" Who
Mm.
wanted to, hey, I want to serve that God. You colonized me, told me to embrace your religion. Great, I want to be a priest. And they say, nah, because you're a native. Nyeh. Okay. If that doesn't scream, I'm just here to take your shit, then I don't know what does. Diba? Like, but I want to be Hermano Puli. Diba? I want to be your priest. I want to be Gurmburza. But I want to be your, I want to, no, 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 kami lang. Kami lang.
Mm.
You serve us, but we're the, parang, so bakit kayo na-colonize? Why did you convert us? Why did you
Akala
convert
ko,
us? Diba?
akala ko ba it's supposed to be enriching us, giving us a better better
And then when they tried to
something.
join, and they're like, yeah, we're on board. I'm into that
Mm.
shit. I want to be a priest. Hindi pwede.
Mm. No, you can't.
You can't sit with us.
Mm.
It's giving mean girls. So parang, okay. Kung para saan
Eh,
ka?
di don't. Eh, di don't. That's why maging atheist na lang tayo lahat.
It's, diba? Like, do you not question this? You don't
Mhm.
question it na parang, okay, kung sila nga binastos, ginago,
Mhm.
and they're trying
Mm.
to give in to the colonizers, like, wholeheartedly. Tapos ayaw pa, okay lang kayo? Di
Something
ako
is not
galit,
clicking.
The
Something
math
is
is not
not
mathing.
clicking.
The math is not mathing. So obviously, it's just to take your shit.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mhm.
Diba? It was meant to oppress you, not enrich you
Mhm.
and enlighten you.
All because of all because of peppercorns. They want our peppercorns. Do you know that we used to be the top exporter of peppercorns?
Nangyari.
Hmm. Well, just because they have really really bland food.
Tayo ba?
We used to be we used to be a top exporter until
Talaga?
of course, yeah.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that.
Mm.
Thank you. Learn something new every day.
I used to have a book that mentions Philippines as the top exporter of peppercorns.
Talaga? Tapos ngayon, hirap na hirap ako maghanap ng ano.
Pamintang buo.
Oh, that was a very heavy episode. This is a heavy episode.
Oh, and we apologize, but it's an ugly part of history that we need some reminders, or at least some people, some refresher, because like and what Angie said, parts of our history are we are doomed to repeat the ugly parts of our history. Kasi nangyari na to eh, and we can agree in unison that those parts of history are really really bad, but as long as we still don't learn from that part of the ugly part of our history, we are doomed to repeat it, and more people are doomed to suffer from it.
Like they are now. They're suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I want everybody just to take a moment, go over all the descriptions that we gave of all the shit he did, and think about the state of the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
We
Gagawin,
we're
no?
like we're looking at this like oh my god, it was so horrible. Yeah, but it's happening again.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You
still
can't feel
happening.
horrible from what we've just talked about and then clap at another politician's actions. Uh, and we're
Or
not just
either
talking about the ones, so yeah, the ones locally, because this is happening right now.
remember, Columbus is not local. He went
Mm-hmm.
from country to country and then another country, another part of the world to do his bullshit. Then he took something from there, brought it back. Like it's the same thing. It,
Mm-hmm.
it, everything is intertwined. Everything is linked. And I remember when we were like, why is everybody talking about things that are not happening in the Philippines? You should be talking about the Philippines. No, it's all interconnected. And if
Mm-hmm.
you deny that or you want to ignore that, you are basically putting on your blinders
Mm-hmm.
and you are being willfully ignorant to things. You don't want to address what's happening in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the same shit over and over. Wow, that was heavy.
I know.
And Ham slept through it all.
Kaya nga eh. Well, if you enjoy ham and our end contents like that, and if you want to talk more, if you want us to talk more about things like this, about history, and and we are seriously considering switching categories from religion to history, because we basically talk more about history. So
Well, they're
yeah,
intertwined.
and yeah, kasi many things about in the past were hidden by history. But yes, if there is a topic that you would like us to talk about in future episodes, hit us up in social media. We are Godless Chorizo on Instagram and Twitter.
We are Godless Longanisa on Facebook.
And if you have a story that you would like to send with us, actually, we are still currently accepting submissions of stories. If you're not comfortable in joining us yeah, in live recording, you can send your story to us via email, gmail.com.
Yes. I do want to make one point. I appreciate all feedback,
Mm-hmm.
especially the
We love,
constructive feedback. We love
yeah,
it. And we
yes,
hope that what we do, it may
mm-hmm.
not happen overnight, obviously,
Yes,
but as we move forward, we hope that the ones that have been giving us feedback or suggestions or recommendations, we hope that you do notice that we are listening. It might take time, but we are
yeah,
listening and we're trying to make it a great experience for all. So, let's invite them to people who
mm-hmm.
want to share.
Yes. So like we've So we recently announced that we are accepting, or we're bringing back atheist stories. So like I said, if you don't want to join us in recording, if you're shy and or if you're still in the process about it, you can send us your story and we can read it in an episode. so our listeners can also hear your stories and maybe inspired by it.
Yes,
Send us an
inspiration.
email. Yes.
Yes.
And if you're more comfortable in joining our community, you can find us on Reddit, Godless Longganisa. And if you want to support us and you are interested in gaining access to early episodes or the uncut ones, you can find us on
Patreon.
where Chorizo tier members will get an early access to unedited versions of the episodes that you see on Spotify and also follow us on YouTube. Yeah, follow us and like and share and comment to our videos. So everything that you see now in Spotify is also uploaded in YouTube at the same time.
Yes. Yes. So there. Well, we finally did Christopher Columbus, that bastard.
Yeah, that was heavy. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. You learned something from it. And until next time in another episode of Godless Longganisa, this has been your host, Tito Tandan.
And Tita Angie.
God bless everyone.
God bless.